everyone. Today is a day when I need to close the window. Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Today is another Edge Hill video. Are we surprised? If you don't know me, my name is Jojo and I was studying musical theatre at Edge Hill University, and then I moved to Manchester once I've graduated, and that's basically my life right now. But I loved Edge Hill University and I want to share my experience with you. So a few weeks ago I posted a video on all of my pros and cons on Edge Hill and basically Ormskirk in general, and today I have a video specifically about musical theatre at Edge Hill University. I'm gonna run you through all of the modules that I've done, everything that I've learned, as well as I'm gonna tell you what I've liked about this course and also the things that I either didn't like or just wish that happened. Before I start the video, there is one very important thing I have to tell you. The musical theatre course at Edge Hill has changed totally. The moment I graduated was literally when the whole curriculum was reworked, redone, and it's all a bit different now. I think it's still somewhat similar to what it was, but it's way more practical than it was when I was there. At least that's what I've heard. I don't have all of the information on it. At the moment, I'm gonna be talking about the experience that I had, the classes that I've taken. I also do not remember which classes were optional and what were the other options. I'll be talking mainly about the modules that I've done, the things that I've learned out there, and obviously about my own perspective, because what I liked not everybody might like about this course and about this university. But anyway, let's get on with the video. And the thing about musical theatre classes is that it's not one of those courses where, you know, you can just do your own thing at home. You have to actually show up to class. Even if it's a theory class, it's really beneficial to actually show up to class and actually listen what they're talking about. So in first year, the modules that I had was Introduction to Musical Theatre, which was basically like musical theatre history. It was a 100% theory course. It was definitely compulsory, and the assignment for it was to write an essay. Then we had acting technique, we had dance technique, which was optional. You could take language instead of dance. We had studying musical theatre, which was kind of, it was part theory, part practice. So theory was basically, learning about like how to review theatre, and as an assignment we had to write a review on a theatre production, which usually meant you were going to the theatre to actually watch the show. But in my first year it was COVID. So we watched a live stream of Rent that was playing at Hope Mill Theatre at the moment. Not gonna lie, it was a bit easier to do it that way, in a sense of, you know, we could pause, we could, you know, take notes without stressing. In that sense it was easier, but I do wish there was, you know, an actual live theatre performance kind of experience, but oh well. And then the practice part of it was we were doing like a group project, so we were divided into smaller groups, and then we had to redo a song for musical theatre we were given, but in like our own way. So for example, my group was given How Do You Solve a Problem Like Maria from Sound of Music, and in the actual musical it's like a group of nuns singing it, but we decided we're gonna redo it into like as if we were sisters, but not in a sense of nuns, but in a sense of actual sisters on a sleepover. So it was kind of like taking an actual musical theatre thing and just making it your own. And yeah, again, it was COVID, there was a lot of rules to it, so it was a bit different. I know usually there were bigger groups and they were doing like more fun songs from like Matilda and Newsies rather than, you know, like Sound of Music. We also had vocal technique, and it also was half practice, half theory. So for theory we were obviously learning about like, you know, your anatomy and how that affects your singing, or the different singing registers, and we were actually like listening to things and analyzing, and you know, so you can actually hear and know those differences between the head voice, between chest voice, all this stuff like that. And for an assignment we had to make a presentation of like an analysis of someone's performance, just being like, okay, here they're singing in head voice and it's giving this and this effect, and here they're singing in chest voice and it's giving this and this effect, you know, like the kind of whole analysis with interpretation. And for practice we obviously had singing lessons. We had both group seminars in first year just to like do different vocal exercises, and we had one-on-one singing lessons, which I don't think are a thing anymore, unfortunately, but you know, the government doesn't give us money, so that's just the reality of arts and reality of performance courses at universities, unfortunately. But that's another topic. I'm not gonna dive into it right now because don't even get me started. And then the last module, which was my favorite module, it's called Words and Music. It was also part theory, part practice. So for theory, we were learning about like music theory things and stuff like that, tips on how to write songs and stuff like that. And then we had to also do an essay analysis, but not from the performance point of view like we did for vocal tech, but from the writing point of view, like how does the lyrics, like how does the music reflect the lyrics, and the other way it was more on that music and writing side. And then for the practice, we had to write your own musical theater song, and I absolutely loved the experience. I love that class. The way my second year is that they put all of the theory courses in first semester and all of the practice courses in second semester. Except I think dance was throughout the whole year, but honestly, I don't even remember. So in first semester for my theory courses, the first class was Approaches to Musical Theatre. That was basically taking musical theatre through different topics, through different themes. So we would learn about like gender and race and family and semiotics and stuff like that, and then we would analyze how it's portrayed in musical theatre and how those themes are actually shown and stuff like that. And then we obviously had to write an essay on like one of those topics that we've covered throughout the year. The second theory class was musical theatre practitioners, so we were basically learning about musical theatre practitioners, so different composers, directors, dancers, you know, like the most known names of musical theatre, Bob Fosse and Sondheim and Andrew Lloyd Webber and like all sorts. And then obviously at the end we had to write an essay on one of the practitioners, which obviously I wrote an essay on Stephen Sondheim. And to be honest, a lot of people decided to write on Stephen Sondheim because there is a lot of resources on Stephen Sondheim. I just said Stephen Sondheim so many times, but I genuinely wrote it because I'm just passionate about Stephen Sondheim and his music. And it was a very sad experience because that's about when Stephen Sondheim died. And about the end of this module, when we were sending our essays off, I had the whole essay finished, and then before sending it, I changed the ending and added in information about Stephen Sondheim dying, and I cried. I'm not gonna lie, I actually cried writing this essay. The next class was acting through song, and it was basically like acting through song, so we would learn about how, like, you know, it was a bit of a acting workshop, a bit of a singing workshop. Obviously that's where your one-on-one singing lessons were also attached to, if I'm not wrong. And then as an assignment we did like a group thing. So basically they divided us into half and we both did the same show. We did elegies for Angels, Punks and Raging Queens, and I loved the music from it. And it was a bit of a traumatic experience for us because a lot of people were struggling with those songs and those harmonies and everything. Like, it is high level, you know? But at the same time, I actually really liked the music from this and I really liked the topics. It has really tough topics, but I really like that it covers those topics. So basically, everyone got like a monologue or 2 monologues, depending. And then we had like different songs. Yeah, it was mainly like group songs, company songs, ensembles. But I also know that the year below us, instead of doing something like that, they were also doing an original musical, which I'll get to a bit later. And then in my second semester, they were half practice, half theory, because for all of them we also had to write an essay, which was mainly like journal essays. So basically we were writing essays on our rehearsal process for the projects we were doing for each class. Let me explain. So first one was creating musical theatre, which, as you can tell, was about writing your own musical. Basically, we would get like a workshop time where they would teach us about like devising and songwriting and script writing and stuff like that. And then the rest of the class was just rehearsing and devising a musical with your group that you were assigned to. Those musicals were only meant to be like 20 minutes, so it's not that overwhelming, but it was all sorts of things. Some people did like a musical on Amy Winehouse, some people did a musical on like different generations. Very interesting things that people came up with. The group I was in, we did Sisters of the Moon, which was a Fleetwood Mac jukebox musical. Now for that, everyone had to have a production role and a performance role. I was a composer slash arranger because we were doing jukebox musical, and then I was also like one of the characters in the show. The other practical one, also a group project, was popular musicals. I think that one wasn't compulsory. You could do a different thing instead of that. But even though I wasn't sure and I didn't really want to do it at first, I have decided to do it and I am so glad that I did, because it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. Theory was about just learning what makes a musical popular, and then practice was like remaking the 20-minute extract from a popular musical, but that 20-minute extract had to like prove and show why this musical is popular. So for example, like the music, because the music is very popular from it, or you know, like specific themes that it covers, or you know, all sorts of things you could come up with for your musical. And honestly, like one of the groups chose a musical that I didn't even know was that popular, but they still proved it was popular and they still did a great job. So for that, again, you would get a production role and a performance role. So because I was a composer / arranger for creating, I wanted to be a director for this experience. And I was so glad to be let to do that, because it was the first time I started realizing, actually, I like directing, and actually maybe that's something I would want to do. I got a great group of people to work with. Everyone did their job, everyone got everything on time, everything went so smoothly, and everyone just accepted me as their director and just communicated with me so easily. And yeah, I really liked this experience. There was no stress or pressure of, you know, pinning stuff last minute. Like everything was done and sorted in time with no stress. So yeah, I was a director and I was also playing Colombia. Then obviously I also had dance. In second year, instead of just doing technique, we would also do choreography. And then my third year, we had the ensemble project, which was basically the pop art. If you've watched my previous videos, you will kind of know what it is about, but that was an original musical we were working on. So about a year before us, yeah, we were the second year to do an original musical. That was like a new project for our course, that every year they started looking for artists with their musicals to promote their musicals and to give us an experience of how it is working on an original musical instead of just remaking the existing one. I love that idea. I love the experience because you get to learn so much, and yes, it is super stressful and things change all the time. We literally had a whole script change. It was super stressful, but it was so much fun that I wish I could do it again. That's basically like the big third year production we would have in front of the audience. The second class I had was portfolio. I think that was optional, but basically everyone chose it because it was an employability module, so everyone like wanted to learn. You would learn a lot about like, you know, taxes and how it is to be self-employed and what is a portfolio career, and you know, how to basically run your business that you are as a performer, and you know, stuff like that. And as an assignment for that, we had to write a huge ass document, like a portfolio document. So it was written, but it's not like an essay, it's more just like we had 15 different subtitles we had to talk about, subtopics, and then we would basically have to write about, I don't know, 1,000 words for each, more or less. You know, it was meant to be about a, let's say, 10,000 words kind of thing. That wasn't a dissertation, by the way. But again, it wasn't an essay, it was a bit nicer to write because you would like put the photos throughout and it was like very looking pretty. Oh, and another part of portfolio was also doing a showcase. So that was a performance we did at a Liverpool Every Month theatre, which I think I actually have a video of that in my other channel if you want to check out. I'll just link it somewhere. Everyone got songs to sing. It was like just, you know, a showcase. And in my year they decided to just do like everyone had a solo because there was enough of us to have a solo. The showcase was basically like the last performance you do with your class as well, so everyone wanted to do a portfolio just to do the showcase as well. So yeah, dance and again technique and choreography, except that this time the final choreography was longer. I think it was like 8 to 10 minutes if I'm not wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't remember, but it was a longer thing for sure. Then there was the research module that was obviously like a theory. It was basically kind of like approaches but taken to next level, and it was a module across all performance courses, drama with dance and stuff like that. And we obviously had to write an essay on a chosen topic, and you could use that as your research time towards your dissertation. That's what most people did, and that was actually really helpful. Then obviously we had dissertation. Now for dissertation you could do different things. So you could do extended essay, you could do a portfolio as well, you could do on a specific topic this time, you could do a performance as in performing in other people's dissertations, or you could do a project. And the project was basically making your own musical. Again, about 20 minutes long. You had to devise your own thing, you had to get your own group of people. Basically it was like writing the whole thing and then actually like putting it on stage as well. And that's when I did The Art of Being, which was a musical about diversity. I had an amazing group and an amazing time. And yeah, it made me cry in a good way. And then the last module, which was my favorite module of all, and that was an optional module, was directing. Like I said, doing popular musicals, I kind of just realized I wanted to do directing. So I did directing, and it was the best module of the whole uni. I loved it. I loved my directing tutor. Again, you could do different kind of things. So you could direct an assessment of like second years. You could direct, I think, someone's dissertations if they let you, but no one did that, I think. You could also just get your own group and your own project, which I think there was only a few people that did it, which was me. So I directed Bandstands, again, a 20-minute, well, it was actually a 30-minute extract from Bandstand musical. And again, I had a great group of people to work with, and I loved the experience. I wish I could do it again. And I have the video on that if you want to check it out somewhere. I'll just link it here. Oh, and obviously the directing module was both theory and practice. We would learn like a lot of things about directing, and then we would put it to practice with obviously directing our shows. And then for the theory, we also had an assignment to do like a portfolio again, but on like the project we were directing. First thing that I absolutely loved about it is the fact that we wouldn't learn just performing, we also learned about creating. As you know, creating is a big part for me, and that sparked my love for directing, for composing. I'm absolutely grateful that I got to learn about all sorts of backstage jobs, all sorts of things. Like, you could really tailor it to yourself, because like I said, you could choose those production roles. So like people that were interested in costume would do costume for those modules, and you could really tailor it to yourself and learn about whatever was interesting for you from the other side and not just from performance. And it just gives you so much more flexibility, because you're not just finishing as a performer, like you can still go into doing like the other theater jobs. So just to give you a perspective throughout uni, what I've done was performing, writing, devising, composing, directing, analyzing, reviewing, and studying. I hope I didn't forget anything. I probably did more than that, but that's like the minimum things I've learned about. The next thing I like is the way you connect with your classmates, because all of the other courses that are not like musical theatre, you usually just like, you have lectures that half of the people don't even show up to, you don't really connect with people, but here you work with those people all the time. Like throughout the third year production, for example, like you're literally together for like 10 hours straight a day, and just rehearsing and spending all of your breaks and nights in the library. And you basically really get to connect with your classmates, like you really get to make amazing friendships with your classmates, which all makes it feel so much more like home to be at uni, and it makes you want to go to class because you know you're gonna have a good time, you're gonna see your friends rather than just going to class to sit a boring lecture. I mean, yeah, there was some of those too, because that's what uni is, but it was still fun. Like, I still liked it. The third thing, obviously, was the fact that we got to the original musicals. I don't think I've ever heard of another place that would give you that opportunity, and that was definitely a great experience. The fact that it was a university, not a theatre school, also gave me a chance to work. And so if you don't know, I'm from Poland, and I didn't get maintenance loan, so I had to work to make my living. So the fact that I could, you know, I didn't have 40 hours of classes a week, I just had, I don't know, 12, 20. It was very flexible, because like you also had to set up your own rehearsals for, you know, your projects, like those practical projects, for example, like the class time wasn't enough, you also had to meet up outside of it. But it was still flexible enough for me to work alongside university. I don't suggest working throughout your third year if you can, because it is very tiring, but I had to, and I still managed to. So that was definitely really, really helpful in my situation. Another thing was the fact that we got to work with obviously professionals, and that we were changing tutors. So the fact that like I, for example, had 2 different singing teachers, which was just the case of my first singing teacher retiring, but the fact that you get to like work with different people gives you way more perspective and way more just lessons to learn. I also had a few different dance teachers, and like I said, we worked with, you know, like actual dancers from West End or actual musical directors from West End, and it was a great experience. And now, even after finishing uni, like I still kind of have contact with my tutors, and I literally went to see my tutor's production that he was a musical director for recently. So that's also great because you actually see them in action. The next thing I really liked was a very updated knowledge, in the sense of like we would literally get to read like articles from 2 years ago. I could see that the teachers are not just, they said it once 20 years ago and they're just teaching it the same way, but they're actually like actively interested and actively looking for new information, for new articles for you to read. That was something really new to me because it's not a thing in Poland. Definitely not at a high school level. I don't know about uni because I've not been, but on high school level in Poland, like you would just basically learn how your teachers were taught, and coming here and seeing like actual refreshed knowledge was great. Another thing was the independence you get. So for example, my directing class, I literally got to do everything however I wanted. So I got my own group of people, I chose the musical, I even had to schedule my assignment, like my assessment dates and my assessment room. Like, okay, yes, it was a lot of work, but it was really independent in the sense of like you actually learn how to, you know, take on those projects and run the whole project through. And the last thing, something I mentioned before, is the way you can adapt the teaching. If you're interested in costume, you could get a costume role for one of the projects, and there was a few different projects that you could apply different roles to. Like I said, I did some composing, I did some directing. It was absolutely amazing. And now for the last bit, which is the things that I didn't really like about it, but it's even more just things that I wish that happened rather than the things that I didn't like. Like I said, I really liked this experience, okay? So first of all, I kind of wish there was a kind of theatre or arts festival just for the university. In case my tutors are watching, it's just an idea for you. I remember when my brother went to uni in Norwich, he told me like they had this theatre, like whole separate like company at uni, and they were doing like festivals, so you could, you know, apply with like your own piece of, everyone would like either write it or like get a group and do their own project. It was like outside of your classes. I feel like that's just such a cool experience, because then you get to do those projects outside of your classes and you actually get to show them to the audience, and, you know, making it into a festival where like you can also get like rewards and whatnot. I feel like that will be a great thing to add to Edgehill University. Another thing I wish that happened was more opportunities for performing. And when I say that, I mean performing in front of the audience. Actually, we didn't perform much in front of the audience until like third year, but then again, I know it's changed now, and there are more opportunities to perform in front of the audience, so they're ahead of me. I kind of wish there was more hours for practical stuff. I kind of do, I kind of don't. Like in a sense of, for example, I wish there was more hours of dance, even if it wasn't compulsory, to like actually like be there with the teacher and practice. At the same time, like I understand why it's not a thing, because like I know there's not enough financial aid for those universities. And so I kind of wish there was more hours for the practical stuff, because we had to plan our own rehearsals outside. There wasn't enough time to just do it during the class. But at the same time, I'm kind of happy that you got that flexibility, because like I said, I had to work outside of uni and it really helped me plan everything out. And the last thing, it's just a me thing. I wish there was more vivas and portfolios rather than actual essays, because I just don't like writing. I really don't like academic writing. Doing a portfolio was way more fun, way more of my thing, and doing vivas like really prepares you for actual like interviewing. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please like it so I know to make more of those, and maybe subscribe if you wanted to. Maybe. I hope this video was helpful and gave you a perspective on musical theatre at Edgehill. And if you did go to do musical theatre at Edgehill, let me know how was your experience and what you liked and didn't like about it. And if stuff you've done changed compared to what I've said in this video. Let me know if you got encouraged and if you would like to apply to Edgehill right now. And yeah, I encourage you to, because I really, really like this experience. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully see you soon. Bye!